today I want to do something a little bit different. So we have some great students from the local culinary program. I'm all about education, I'm all about giving back to the next generation. So as you see, as we go through our presentation today, you'll see some of the culinaries participate in our presentation. Also, if at any time you have a question, please ask. I'm all about exchanging information. I want to learn about the way that you cook things at home, and I'll show you some of my styles as well during this presentation. So we're going to get started. We're going to start down here with the salad course. I love salads because that's what we all know, right? You start off a meal with a nice salad, something that brings a nice refreshment to the table. And when you think about Southern cuisine as well as international cuisines, salads are not really highlighted as much as it should be because that's where the nutrition is, that's where you showcase the harvest from your local farmers. So what we did was we took some root vegetables here. We have some butternut squash that we poached off. Now, the reason why I like poaching this off is because it allows me to kind of capture some of that natural flavor, right? You can do it two ways. You can either toss it with some olive oil, maybe roast it off in the oven to get you some nice deep depth of flavor. Or in this case, we just did a nice citrus poach to bring in the flavors of this complete dish right here. So we got the nice cuts of the butternut squash. And then we're also going to add in some sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. It's one of the favorite things I grew up on. My mother used to bake off sweet potatoes every day. We would have them as snacks. We'll cut them open, finish them with butter, cinnamon, nutmeg. And so for me, bringing it together as a nice dish like this is really a good representation of what I grew up on. So we're going to add these sweet potatoes that we got here locally. These are the white sweet potatoes, which I'm a very fun fan of that. We do have them in the States as well. So we're going to combine these two ingredients together. And then also, what a lot of people don't think of when they think about, potatoes or root vegetables like carrots and different things like that, that it goes really well with citrus. And I love citrus. I grew up in Central Florida. It's the citrus capital of the world. We have orange trees, kumquat trees, grapes, grapefruit trees all over the place. So one of the things that we used to do is just take the fruit off the tree. We just eat them right there in the open. So what we're going to do is take the grapefruit here, and we're just going to peel it down. Now, one of the things I like to do is tell people to respect the citrus, right? And what I mean by that, there's three main components to citrus that you should always be mindful of. It's the zest, the fruit, and the juice. So if you have a zester or a grater, try to get some of that zest. That's where you're going to get the aroma, the scent of the lime or the lemon. And in this case, the grapefruit would give us the pepperiness that we're looking for. And then what we're going to do is peel it down. We're going to get to the fruit. Now, growing up in Central Florida, we should get big bags of citrus, oranges, grapefruit. And my mother, who worked in the industry, she would bring these things home and have us, me and my brother, we would go through and we would do this thing called sectionizing. Now, sectionizing in the culinary world is called supremes. And what we're doing is just taking out the actual fruit from the grapefruit. Now, is it necessary to do it at home? Not really. You can just take it, you can just dice it up however you want. But for me as a culinarian, especially when you transfer in technical skills to the next generation, you want to try to showcase as much knife skills as possible. So what I like to do is just cut in between the membrane there and pop out the beautiful fruit here. And it really shows well on the plate, especially if you're doing it in a restaurant setting. But it's really nice to be able to taste the fruit itself, And so once you get all of this cut down, and you can see it's pretty easy. You get to the end, just going to squeeze all that juice into this.
That looks fantastic. You just mentioned there in terms of passing on knowledge to the next generation.
Yes.
So I know that's very important to you. That's part of your brand and part of what you do. So can you just speak on that and why that is so important, and tell us about your culinary school as well, please?
Well, recipes were the language of the Black community in America. That's the only way we was allowed to communicate and pass down information from one generation to the next. So it was through our recipe writing to which we passed down who we were, who your grandmother was, who your grandfather was. And so those recipes are really important. But because we are chefs and we use it as our profession, and we can do great things in this world through our technical abilities, we really want to make sure that we not only share the knowledge of who we are, how we cook from an emotional standpoint, but the technical abilities that really make you sharp and a professional in this global economy that we live in.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Chef. Do we have any questions at this point from anybody? Okay, we have one question down here. Who has the microphone, please? Okay, let me just give you my microphone because they're quite far away.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Michael.
Hey, Michael.
You talked about respecting the citrus, and I noticed that you cut through the fruit. In a situation where you want to use some of the zest, I can't help but notice that some of that zest is going to be wasted. Do you have any tips for how you could preserve or keep the zest so it lasts longer?
Exactly. That's a great question. When you're dealing with food, we all think about food as entertainment. But food began as a survival mechanism for us all. Without food, we don't live. And so when you can preserve things, we can expand on the life expectancy of the food, then you're really doing something from a culinary standpoint. So something as simple as a zest, you can submerge it in like sugar. Or if you have some rum or any alcohol you want to drop it in, you can infuse it. You can even dry it out at room temperature and then grind it up either in a mortar or in a spice grinder, and then you can turn it into like a nice powder that you can add to either a vinaigrette or on top of a salad to give you that pop of that citrus flavor profile. That's nice? You good?
It's fantastic. So what do we currently have in the bowl right now?
Okay, so right now we have the root vegetables in here, and I'm just adding in a little honey. I have some chopped thyme, but also going to add some fresh sprigs of thyme in here as well. I'm going to add we have the honey, we're going to add a little garlic in here as well. Just a pinch of garlic, and then also some Dijon mustard, okay? Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because when you think about making a vinaigrette, those are the main essential ingredients that you need to combine oil and vinegar, right? So those are the two things that don't really blend together is oil and vinegar. So how do you make it blend together? You have to have what they call a liaison. A liaison tie in the oil and the vinegar, so either honey or Dijon mustard, or in some cases egg, will bring it together so you have a vinaigrette that is silky and smooth. So in this case, I add the mustard to give you some depth of flavor with the butternut squash and sweet potato. And then when you bring it together with this fresh olive oil, now I have my vinaigrette made into my salad marinade. So it works hand in hand. The vinaigrette marinates the vegetables in here, and the vegetables enhances the flavor of the vinaigrette. Make sense? Beautiful. You have a test after this too, guys, okay? All right, beautiful. All right, let me rinse that off for me. So what we're doing is just bring it all together. And as you can see, the colors are beautiful. And you can eat it really right out of this bowl if you wanted to. You know, for me, if I'm at home cooking, I don't even worry about putting it on the plate. I just go directly and just start eating it, huh? So we get that together.
That looks fantastic. With the butternut squash, do you have any alternative ingredients, I guess? Because I'm thinking butternut squash, do we have that we don't have that here. Or we might have it here, but it's not that easy to find.
So if you don't have butternut squash, a carrot would be nice, parsnip would be nice, any type of sweet potato, a yam would be perfect for this, yucca, any of those type of root tubulars that you have in a grocery store, do the same thing. You cut them up, either roast it over a flame in the oven, or you can poach it, citrus, or even just water with salt would be really nice. But when you have it in this condition like this, you enhances the flavor profile, and altogether, it makes a lot of flavor sense.
Perfect. That sounds great. Any other questions from anyone else while Chef is continuing? Okay, we've got one question down there, please.
Hello, Chef.
How are you, sir?
Fine. My name is Shular, and I've got two questions for you.
Yes, sir.
The first one is, you're not using a glove while you're doing your cooking. Okay, so is it necessary you use a glove or your hand? Like, which one is better? Because I've heard it saying that if you actually use a glove, you might not necessarily do it perfectly like the way it's supposed to be. So what if we actually use a glove or we don't want to? And the second question is, because you talk about eating directly from that bowl, and I want to say, is it really bad if you eat directly from the pot instead of serving it? So because I've been serious saying that
It's a good question.
it's not too cool if you eat from the pot instead of you serving it into a plate. So
Hey, give him a chef coat. Come up here. We're going to work with you. No,
Come
I'm
up.
joking. I'm joking.
No, he's joking.
that's-
Very good questions.
Well, going back to your question, one, this is just a demo. If I was preparing food for you all to taste, I would have gloves on and make sure there's a whole lot of cross-contamination. Another thing, if I'm at home eating for myself, yes, I'm going to eat out of the bowl. Criticize me for whatever you want, that's fine. But what I'm saying, if you're serving other people, absolutely, you definitely want to serve it in another vessel. This is one of the reasons why I have the plates. I want to show like how we'll serve it in a restaurant. Those are great questions. But at the end of the day, it's about how you feel at home when you cook. You know, what is it that you like? You know, what are you going to do at home when you're feeding the family? I remember my mom used to make cake, and she would take the spatula and let me take a little bit of the frosting off, you know, things like that. But so there's a different place and time for you to be a little bit more relaxed with your practices. So very great question on that. You too.
It's fantastic. Yes. Okay, so are we plating for the salad
now
already?
We're going to plate, okay? So what we're going to do is just take these nice, beautiful bowls here. And so the leftover butternut squash that I had, what I did was I did a nice puree with it, okay? And that's total utilization. Most people will cut up their vegetables and then whatever they can't use or they don't want to use or whatever, it'll either go in the cooler or, you know, maybe in the trash. For me, I like to use everything. So we just pureed this up with just a little stock and heavy cream and just a little bit to kind of go on the plate.
Okay.
Just kind of give you a little bit of a enhancement flavor for the butternut squash. Okay? And then what I like to do too, there's a spoon in there.
So we know that plating is usually, I guess, it could be seen as the most difficult part, making it look so beautiful. So I'm sure everyone will be looking very closely.
Well, it's real simple, you know, just taking things that really work well together and using your imagination. You know, think about, you know, balance, think about contrast, think about showcasing it in a very practical way. And so that's what we're doing here, is just keeping it really, really simple. Thank you. And so what I have here also is some zucchini. This is a squash, yellow squash that we use quite a bit in the States. Just want to put a little bit on the plate here. Now you can use a cucumber if you want. You can use a daikon radish, anything that you want. For me, I like the zucchini. It really brings out the squash combination here, give you some freshness. Okay. Then we want to go with the medley here. And what you want to do is allow some of that juice to run onto the plate there, okay? Because remember, that's your vinaigrette. That's going to really bring out the flavor of this dish completely. And then it's also going to tie in the greens that we're going to add on top as well. It make sense?
Yep.
Beautiful. So these are the things I like to do whenever I'm doing presentations throughout the country. It's just really showcase who I am as a chef, but also allowing or encouraging my audience to go home and experiment a little bit, because cooking is all about expression, right? How you want to do this. You may not want to do it like this. You may have your own little spin. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. It means that you're creative, and we all got to be representation of who we are. And for me, I'm all about having chefs be who they are, because that's what makes the world wonderful, is expression of yourself. So now we're just going to take some of these greens here. Give me another bowl, please. Thank you. And then what we want to do is just take some of these greens and some of the vinaigrette from our mixture here. And then we're going to add just a little pinch of salt and a little pepper and just a little bit more olive oil to really coat the greens.
The chef, you also spoke about the importance of, you know, your individuality and being your own person with your own style when you're making food. So can you just speak to us on what inspired you to start cooking in the first place?
So the inspiration began at home. I think for all of us, that's where our first memories of great food began, is at home. That's all we know is what mom made, what dad made, or whatever. So that's where my inspiration came from. Growing up in Central Florida, we didn't have a whole lot. It was very poor. It was a single family home. It was just a single mother. And so we had to make the most of it. And so I just remember my mother would do her largest meals on the weekends. So during the week, we would have either black-eyed peas one day, greens the next. It was never really a complete meal until the weekend. And when she cooked a massive amount of food, because what she liked to do was take the leftovers and portion them out into little to-go containers, and she would send them out to all the neighbors in the neighborhood. And for me, I was just amazed, because I was like the delivery guy, walking to all the homes, giving meals away. And for me, I didn't understand it until I became older. And I realized that's a level of hospitality that a lot of people in this industry do not have. It's to be hospitable to people that you never met before, and to give to people that really needed the most, but you're thinking about them, they didn't ask for it. And so for me, I love that. And that's the reason why I love giving, and not only from the plate to the guests, but the knowledge to the students so they can give back to the next generation.
That's really inspiring.
Thank you.
That's fantastic.
Okay, and so there you go. There you go. Right here is the squash salad. Very beautiful, clean, fresh flavors, utilizing indigenous ingredients that's local to your farm or your home. And something that you can do at home at any occasion. This is a restaurant quality dish, and it's here for anyone to enjoy.
Looks fantastic. Should we
Absolutely.
have some tasting now or wait till?
Please, they can taste now as we move on to the
Okay,
next
who
dish.
would like to taste? Do we have some cutlery? And guys, thank you. Okay, this lady here, would you like to come down?
Leave it there.
And I'm trying to be fair, guys. We'll have this lady here as well if you want to come down and taste. There. So you can let us know what you're tasting, what kind of flavors are coming out to you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you now. I see you guys are really enjoying this. They're finishing the whole thing. All right, guys, let's talk. Okay, you can put the foot down. So let us know.
So I'm actually a lover of salad, so I could feel the lemony zest. I mean, the grape zest, then the
Trash.
sweet
That's
potatoes. I can't remember the name of this thing. The zucchini, the pepper, butterscotch.
So you love it, basically.
It's really good.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. You can't take the plate with you.
Ask if I can just go with everything. Like, it's very nice. So let me.
Can she take the plate, chef?
Sure, it's your plate.
Okay,
I
take
don't
the
own
plate. No? Oh, we'll get it back. We'll get it back.
I don't own anything here.
If you don't ask, you don't get, right? She asked. Okay,
you.
next. What are we on to next? chef?
So I really wanted to talk a little bit more about, where I'm from. So I grew up in the southeast of United States in Florida. And so one of the things that we grew up on is seafood. And as a little kid, I just remember there was a gentleman that would ride through the neighborhood with all the fish that he caught at the lake. And my mom would make us go out there and grab like 4 or 5 mullet, catfish, whatever you need. And then we would go out back and just break it down. So I'm not doing that today. We have some beautiful prawns that's local here from Lagos that I really want to showcase. And I love shrimp. I love anything shellfish because it gives off so much flavor profile. It has a lot of texture, especially when you think about lobster, langoustines, the prawns, jumbo shrimp. It's such a great a seafood item and very versatile that you can do so many great things with. So I saw this beautiful cast iron pan, and I would be wrong if I didn't use it because we use cast iron quite a bit in the States. And so to have this here brings back a lot of memories of home. So we have these beautiful prawns. And so what we did was we went ahead and we took the vein out and got it ready to go. And the reason why we want to leave the heads on is because there's a lot of intense flavor in the head of the shrimp, right? So most people would take that off, take the shells off, it'll go into the trash. Me, I would save it, turn it into a stock, roast it off, pot of water, 20 minutes, pull it off. I got a shrimp base for some other use. But in this case, we're going to use it for this corn dish. So we're just going to start off with a little olive oil in the pan. And then what we have here is our spice blend. So this is a combination of salt, pepper, cayenne, onion powder, garlic powder, and also you have a little crushed red pepper flake. And I love a little heat in the shrimp. Now the reason why we're adding the oil to it is because without the oil, 1, it won't coat the shrimp properly, and 2, it'll burn. And so what we want to do is just kind of give it a nice little dusting of it. And then we want to hit it with some oil. And we just want to just rub it into the shrimp there. And if you want to add more, you can. And see, for me, I'm just making a beautiful paste, a nice glaze. We want to do both sides. And flavor distribution is really important. A lot of times when you see on TV and they're seasoning food, they're just throwing the salt on the food. You think that's the right way of doing it. It's not. It's control. It's watching the salt evenly distribute across the protein, right? So you want to see it evenly distributed. You don't want to see pockets of salt or pockets of pepper. You want to make sure that it's evenly distributed throughout. So I'm going with my spices here.
So is Southern cuisine known to be spicy? Is spice a part of it?
Yes, it has a strong, very strong African influence in the South. You know, a lot of the ingredients, a lot of the cooking styles, if you really dive into it and explore it more, there's a huge similarity between what we do in the States and what we do here in Africa.
Do we have any other questions at this point?
Thank
From
you.
anybody? No? Okay. No? Oh, there's one at the back. Whoever has a microphone, please. Thank you. Do you want to stand up so we can see you? Thanks.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
My name is Shinaza. So I wanted to ask, do the plates really matter? Because a lot of chefs, they like to pick the kind of plates they use, either it is square, circle, or it's rectangular. And then the size, because when I went to culinary school, they said your food should not climb your plate. But then there are some plates that are extremely flat. How do you decorate your food? How do you present right without the food climbing the plate or being too round or too rectangular, something like that? Thank you.
That's a really great question. You know, you got to think about being creative, right? For me, I'll allow the food to tell me what to do, right? If you listen and if you pay attention to what you're building and you think about the color combinations and you think about everything that you put into that work, it will tell you how it wants to be presented. It's just your interpretation of that language, right? So whether it's a round plate or a square plate or a rectangle plate, you can get great, beautiful presentation with all of that. Me personally, I'm a fan of things a little bit more symmetrical, a little bit more round. I love more of the round plates, rectangles and squares. I like that too. It just depends on what it is that you like. It's a purpose and use for all of it. Yes.
And then what about portions? I think she touched on the size of the food as well. So in terms of portions?
Portion size. So there's two rule of thumbs here. So if you're in a restaurant and you're selling it for a price, there's a portion control associated with that price tag, right? But then if you're at home feeding families and friends, you think about how much money you spent, how can you feed everyone? Because when you go to the grocery store and you got $20 in your pocket, you got to feed X amount of people, in your mind, you're doing your math already. And so I think portion size just depends on whether it's for a restaurant or if it's at home. So for me, I like large portions.
So do we.
So as you can see here, the shrimp took on a really, really nice flavor. And what I like about this with this cast iron, it gives you like that char look that you would typically see if you put it on the grill. And we love that fire cooking, right? That's the first cooking source that we all had was over a fire, over a flame. So when you get that nice char, that's depth of flavor. So when people taste your food and it just tastes like salt and pepper, you didn't develop the depth of flavor that you really wanted. But when you taste it, you're like, wow. You got like, oh man, what is going on here? It's because you follow basic principles and basic science of cooking that allow you to develop that flavor and that emotional connection that we all love about really prepared food, properly prepared food. So as you can see, we got the beautiful color. I wish she didn't do that.
That looks amazing.
Because I wanted to throw my corn in there next, but she jumped ahead of me. I'm gonna take that back from her. And put that here.
And how do you ensure that you don't overcook
Thank you.
the prawns? Because you didn't cook it for that long.
No, and the reason why is just I'm doing a nice little char because I'm gonna put it back in here once I'm done with the cooking process, okay? So in the same pan, you wanna capture all that flavor. You don't wanna do that. You don't wanna rinse it out, okay?
Don't rinse out the pan.
That flavor goes into the rest of the dish, right? So we're gonna just add a little oil, and now we wanna add our corn. But that corn will take on some of that same color as well. Get some char. Either you put it over the flame, or you can put it in the oven, or just in the same cast iron pan with the shrimp, put it in there and get that depth of flavor. Start to get that caramelization going on. And now you're gonna really be cooking at a high level when you start to follow these practices here. And when you think about it, cooking is really one pot cooking. If you can do it right, you put all the flavors in one pot or one pan and capture that, and you really have something special. So as you can see, it's starting to caramelize a little bit. And I love fresh corn. You got that sweetness, but nothing like having a little char to a corn, like a nice relish, something you put over a taco or whatever you want. But I love this nice char in here as well. All right? Any questions?
Any questions? Yeah. Okay, we have a young lady at the front here. He's coming. Sure, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Darcy Miyomikule. If you fry the corn, won't it turn to popcorn?
Did you get that? If you fry the corn, won't it turn to popcorn?
Oh, good question.
Okay, good question.
Well, what happens is because the corn kernel is dehydrated, all the moisture is left. Only thing you have left in there is a pocket full of starch. And with the right amount of heat, that starch blows up into what you see as a popcorn. So this will start to pop as well, but it's going to pop and release all the water. It's going to burn me. So that's the reason why popcorn is what it is. And they dry it out. And it was actually an accident. They should dry out corn to preserve it, and it got too hot, and they started to pop. They realized it turned into popcorn, so that's how we have it. So
That's fascinating. Do we have another question? Okay, we have a question at the back there. There's a lady at the back with her hands up.
go ahead and cut that off real quick.
The one besides, the one in front, sorry.
No, I want you to do it.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. My name is Esther. I want to ask why your choice of olive oil? I think locally we are used to having groundnut oil, why some people call it vegetable oil. So is there a difference? And I know that we have different kind of oils. We have canola, we have coconut oil.
Okay.
Is there a difference in terms of cooking?
Thank you. She's asking why the use of olive oil? Because here most people would use vegetable oil or what was the other one you mentioned?
Well, olive
basically
oil.
there's different oils, so why just olive oil?
So olive oil, we use olive oil quite a bit in the States, but we use a blend because extra virgin olive oil, if I was to put it in the pan right away, even though it has a high smoke point, it has a high acidity level. And because of the acidity level, that's the reason why they store extra virgin olive oil in the dark containers so that it doesn't go rancid. So I'd rather take an extra virgin olive oil and finish with it, but cook with a olive oil blend. So I get the high smoke point, okay, which is really important when you're dealing with cast iron. And then it allows me to stabilize the fat that's in here, and then it allows me to finish up my dish without it burning, okay? Now you can use a vegetable oil, the smoke point is gonna be low, so it's gonna burn really quick in this pan here. But if I was making like the salad down there, that was an extra virgin olive oil. It's rich, has a strong flavor profile, and for me, I think it gives it a nice body to like a vinaigrette. Or if you want to use like a sunflower oil or any other oil, those are mainly oils that you use for like cold applications.
I was going to ask if it's also the healthier option as well. Is olive oil healthier is it the healthier option in terms of oils?
Yes, it is. It's a very good healthy option on that.
Cool. We've got another question there. The lady in the front, please, in the yellow.
I'm good.
Do we have a microphone at the front, please? Thank you.
So next we're going in with the corn and the okra. Okra is something that actually was brought over from Africa here. So I love okra. We grew up on it. I love roasting my okra off versus putting it into like a stew or boiling it. What I like to do is just kind of put it in the pan and get some of that color, start to develop a deep flavor profile here, okay? And as you can see, it's just capturing all that flavor from the corn, from the spices from the shrimp. It's just really developing rich flavor profiles right now.
That's great. So you're frying the okra, right?
Yes.
At the moment. Okay.
So like fried corn, fried okra, I'm just cooking it in all this fat in here. It's really nice.
That looks
and you
amazing.
see that corn starting to pop a little bit right there.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
Okay. So
We've just got a question. Is it okay to quickly take a question? No, you don't have a question? Oh,
No
okay.
question?
No worries.
Okay.
We have a question here from the lady in the front. Thank you.
It's still about the oil, and you mentioned the high smoke point, because I think I remember reading something about using vegetable oils and olive oils when you're cooking, about when you're frying something, whether it becomes, I don't know the right word to use, like it's no longer okay, but oils like canola oil, if you're frying with it or you are doing something like what he's doing as well, it's way better. But when you use stuff like olive oil, sunflower oil to do something like this, like if you cook with it for like a long time, it's not nice anymore or something like that. It breaks down and it's not nice anymore. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
No, that's a good point. I tend to stick with the natural oils. Simply, I don't like those synthetic oils. I don't like those homogenized oils. because that's what's really contributing to, health issues, heart disease, cholesterol, all that. So it definitely, do some research on the type of oils that's out there and stick with the ones that are natural. I mean, you can still fry with them, and there's so many different ways of frying. Everything doesn't necessarily have to be deep fried. You got air frying, you got roasting. For me, shallow frying is good to get it in the pan to get some color on it. But I'm not a big fan of those homogenized artificial oils.
Okay, let's just take a question. Just a question there from the lady behind with the glasses. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, I am a kind of girl that does not like okra at all. At all. Like, is there something else that can be used to replace?
It's hard to replace okra. It's such a unique flavor profile, such a unique ingredient. It's tough to replace that. I would just pluck it out. I don't know what else. Yeah,
Okay.
okra is so unique, it's hard to replace that.
Yeah, yeah. Are those tomatoes or chili peppers?
So these are cherry tomatoes. So we're
Cherry
going to add a
tomatoes.
little cherry tomato to this.
Okay.
Now you can use regular tomatoes, heirloom tomatoes, green tomatoes, yellow tomatoes, whatever you want. I like to just add the color last. So if you look at it, I add the peas.
Yep.
These are English peas. We want to keep that color. Add the cherry tomatoes in there last. Okay. We're going to hit it with some salt. And then we're going to go with some pepper.
Smells amazing. I don't know if you guys can smell smell it from there. It smells
And
amazing.
then now I'm going to add my shrimp back to this. Okay. And we're just going to let this steam for about a few minutes. Okay. And what that's going to do is allow all the juice and all that moisture from the shrimp to penetrate down into the corn. All that water released from the corn would just circulate back down in there and kind of develop you a little bit of a broth. And that's going to really make a nice creamy texture for this finished product right here, which is more like what we call like a succotash. Thank you.
Sounds great. Did we get a name for these dishes? Are they named or they're just?
They are named. So this is a blackened charred prawn with a sweet corn succotash.
A black charred prawn with a sweet corn
Succotash.
succotash. I don't know what that means, but it sounds good.
Let's
Sounds
raise
awesome.
the price on that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the salad that we started with, is that a name as well?
That was just a butternut root vegetable salad with butternut squash puree and vinaigrette.
Sounds good.
Beautiful. And you can find all these recipes on our website. So in Atlanta, I have a culinary school.
Yep.
And the culinary school is called the Shular Institute. And so we have two campuses, one in Atlanta and the second one is in Milwaukee. And so if you want to go and explore some of our recipes and some of the things that we have on our site, you go to shularinstitute.com and that's where you'll find some of our recipes and some of the recipes that I'm doing today.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you get the website? The shularinstitute.com.
Shularinstitute.com.
So his surname,
Shular. It's not spelled S-C-H, it's S-H-U-L-A-R.
L-A-R institute.com. And just, as we're talking about the Institute right now, what advice would you give to any young, whether it is, chefs or cooks or just people who are interested in the food industry, have a passion for food?
Well, I would definitely say make sure it's a passion because this industry is going to test you. It takes a lot of perseverance and determination, like you mentioned earlier from my intro, to really take it to the highest level. Because when you cater into people and everyone in here has a different perspective on food, you got to be willing to accept that criticism and be able to take it and develop yourself and grow with it.
Yeah.
But I say if you have a love for hospitality, you have a love for cooking, go all out for it. Really be a sponge, be a true student of your craft. Treat it like a sport because it is a sport. The more you practice that something, the better you're going to become. Yeah. So just like I used to shoot free throws as a young kid, I would get in the kitchen to work on my knife skills as well. And you're working as a team on the football field, you're working as a team in the kitchen. So anyone that's interested in this field, go all for it. It's a beautiful way to, and a great way to be a global citizen and to learn all the different cultures of the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Thank you. I just want to quickly ask, you just put butter. Is that butter that you put
Yes,
in?
so I finished with just a little butter. Now, if you wanted to, some recipes require you to add a little cream. I'm not a fan of that. I just like to finish it with just a little butter, a little fat. If you want to add any type of dairy, you're more than welcome to do so. But this allows all that flavor to come together, and that fat really just brings out the sweetness of this dish and the corn.
Fantastic. We've got a question at the front there that we'll just take in the meantime. How are we doing for time, guys? Are we good? Okay. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I want to ask. All right.
Yes.
I've been seeing him cooking and all that. You know, Nigerians, we are good with spices. Okay, like a ketra, we know have to do with chicken spice, this one from spice, a lot of spices in the market. But all you have been doing here, there's no atom of spice here. I just see you do oil, salt, and veggies and all that. So is it that what we're doing is wrong? Or I hope the spices we're eating is healthy. I don't know. Because
No, if you notice, like I started out with the spices on the shrimp.
Yeah.
And so when that shrimp cooks, all that spice permeates throughout the dish.
Spice,
so if you want to add more spices, I do have it. I use a lot of spice. So we have like the coriander, you have the crushed red pepper flakes, you have the chili powder.
Mixed together.
Mixed together as a blend. We did that for the sake of taping this and time. All the spices are blended together.
Okay, do you use Maggi? You know what Maggi is? Do you use Maggi?
Do you use Maggi? Do you know Maggi? It's like a stock cube.
No.
No, okay.
That's something I'm learning. That's why we came here.
It's something that we use a lot here. It's a
Really?
Maggi cube, so it's basically like a chicken stock cube.
Oh, the chicken cubes.
Yeah,
Yes.
cubes.
Okay.
Yeah, do you use
So
that?
we do use that in the States. Yeah, you can find little bouillon cubes, little chicken stock
exactly.
cubes. You can put it in the water. Now you have your base. Absolutely, we do use that.
All right, thank
But I tend to be careful with that because of the MSG that's in it. And it's not really good. So I try to stay away from the MSG. And I can get more flavor from searing this shrimp than you can get from one of those bouillon cubes if you did the cooking process right.
Yeah.
So I really don't have to use all those artificial flavor profiles. I just cook with basic principles and it work out well for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I know we have more questions, but I just want to make sure we get the food done in time. So just let us focus on this for a while and then we'll come back to questions. So we're plating at the moment. It looks scrumptious. And I see what you're talking about in terms of the colors. You know, you've got the reds, the greens, the yellow. It's very vibrant.
Yes. And then also you can take a little bit more of that spice, just go right back on top.
Looks amazing.
And then we're going to finish it with just a little bit more oil.
Olive oil.
And there you have it.
Wow.
Little charred prawn and sweet corn succotash right there.
Succotash. Okay, so we'll choose two people to come up and taste this. We have to make it fair, sorry. The guy in the yellow. Okay, come up. Do we have cutlery? Sorry. Chef, is there a way to cut it up or they should just...
Yeah, get them fork and knives for me, please. Let me have the spices season.
Okay. Help yourselves.
It's okay.
Another dish. There's one more dish.
Just one more dish. One more dish, yeah.
Got about 10.
Yeah.
Okay. How are we doing over here, guys? What are we tasting? Wow.
Wow. This is the first time I'm tasting okra and corn together. I'm telling you. Wow.
Wow, that's his description. I love it.
That can go.
I'm busy.
Amazing. Have you tasted the prawn or you're still on the vegetables? Have you got into the prawn? Take a bite of the prawn.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, truth is that at first I was thinking it was going to taste weird.
Just one more.
Or man, this is real good. It tastes so good.
Okay.
What did he say?
He said he thought it was going to taste weird, but he tasted it and it's so good. It's so good.
All right.
So, yeah.
I got a little nervous.
5
down
stars. I know you're still eating. Sorry.
This is really good because initially I love okra. Okra is one of my best foods. So mix combination of it with other spices like this. I've not tried it before, but okra, pomo, fish, mixing them together, normal, delicious, local way. I love it.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, that's awesome. They said you can't. They said you can't take the plate. So just have a few more. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, last one. No, don't eat that. That's a shell. Don't eat shell. Okay, so we're moving on to another dish.
That's good.
Guys,
That's good.
it's okay. You can go. Thank you. You're welcome. Serviettes. Okay. Okay.
I'm using that
Thank
pen.
you. Okay, Chef Shular, Master Chef Shular. So let's move on. I know that was
They said I was going to have a lot of fun, but I didn't know it was this much fun here. So thank y'all very much.
Okay, this looks amazing. What's the
All right,
steak?
so we have one more dish.
Yep.
This is a very fun dish because it allows you to just kind of put everything in a pot and see the magic of everything working together. So what we have here is some beef that I'm just cutting on little thin slices, okay? Because this allows me to get a lot more caramelization on the meat versus cooking it as a whole piece, okay? And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some spices, okay? And we're gonna pepper it up. We're gonna get a lot of flavor into this, okay? So we not only have our cayenne, we got a little smoked paprika, we got some onion and garlic going on there. We're gonna also add some black pepper and salt. Now, people say, why you always use salt on meat? It's a science behind it, right? So if anyone is cooking meats and they don't add some type of salt to it, you're missing out on the opportunity to really get good caramelization, good searing, okay? The salt works on the surface and allow the water content to be released and get to the fat so you get the caramel, the color, so you get that flavor so you don't have to use the bouillon cubes, okay?
Yeah.
So for me, I just love just kind of getting all that flavor in there as much as you want, okay?
And I see that maybe for the sake of this presentation, you're just putting on the spices now. Do you tend to season your meat like the night before, or
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
The longer the better. So if
Yeah.
you can do it the night before, that's best, okay?
Okay.
So we got some oil in there, nice and hot, and we want to just get in there and get that sizzle, okay? If you don't hear that sound, the pan isn't hot enough,
Okay.
okay? That's what we want right there.
Okay, so while we're doing that, let's just get another question. I saw there was a lady here who had the lady at the back with the mask on. Thank you.
That's good.
We're just going to take 3 quick questions back to back so we can just move quickly. Go ahead.
Okay, this is my question. My name is Jen. I love when you are seasoning your seafood, like all these shrimp, fish, and all that. I see that I always use lemon after seasoning, yes, to squeeze on it.
Yeah.
So I want to know, and then after when you are eating, when you serve your food, about eating, you use lemon again on it. So I want to know which one is much better.
Okay,
I want to know which one is much better.
When you're seasoning or when you're eating?
Yes.
Okay, so the use of lemon, right?
Yes.
Yes, and we have lime, but I was using lime on this dish here. But yeah, absolutely, a fresh lemon, fresh lime, any type of acid to really balance the seafood, absolutely, you can definitely use
Okay,
that.
but she wants to know whether it's best to use it as you're seasoning it or when you're eating it.
Both. I
Both.
think you can do it in the beginning.
Yep.
Okay, but you get more of the aroma of the citrus towards the end because heat kind of takes the flavor of citrus down a little bit. But if you do it at the very last minute with all your herbs, your butter, your fine seasonings, then you get more aroma, more flavor, more depth. Okay, so wait to the end and then do it.
Wonderful, thank you. Quickly, this question from this lady here, and then we'll go to you, and then we'll get back before our time is up.
Hi, good afternoon, Chef.
Hi.
All right, so my question is about the second meal.
Okay.
And I want to know if there are other ways to actually do that meal without using oil, because some people don't like oil. Yes. So if there are other ways you can try out using the same meal, since it's veggies and veggies is very good for the body. So if there are other ways without using oil, thank you.
Thank you. Did you get that, Chef?
With this dish here, we got a lot of color with the beef. So now what I did was just started to dump in all of my vegetables. I mean, you can just start adding it in, okay? Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some stock to it, and then we're gonna let it simmer for a few minutes, okay? Now, because we cut the vegetables nice and thin, we should be able to taste this within the next few minutes, okay? But the longer the better, okay? This is for show, but if you're cooking at home, slow and long is the best way to cook anything, okay? Especially if you're roasting it, it doesn't have to be piping hot. Piping hot is only there to trap in the seasoning to allow you to blanch vegetables the right way. But if you want to hold on to that texture, slow and long is the best.
Okay.
So we have some carrots, we have some celery, we got some leeks in here, onions. Then I have some red chili peppers and red jalapenos for that really heats. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's throw in a bay leaf. We have some cabbage that we added in here as well. Okay. And then what we're going to do is add our stock.
Okay. And what stock is that? That's vegetable
This right
stock.
here is a beef stock, beef and vegetable stock.
Okay.
And you just want to bring that up to a boil. And then you continue to adjust the seasonings, okay? That's the reason why you want to have a spoon so you can taste as you go. You can enhance the flavor profile. And I have garnishes on here for those who like a little bit more heat, those who don't like a little bit more heat. You got a little Tabasco here, you got a little fresh lime, you got other things that you can enhance your bowl. And that's really the way I like it because you can customize it however you want.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Just going back quickly to the lady's question about the previous dish, the prawn dish. Is there a way to make it without oil? So whether it's steaming, because she's saying she's not that big on
you
oil.
can just roast it off in the oven.
Roast
Just a nice
it.
roast would be nice.
That sounds good.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you said you're going to leave that for a few minutes?
For a few seconds. Yeah, we can take some more questions.
Yes, this gentleman here, please, with the blazer.
Hello, Chef. Thank you so much.
How are you, sir?
I have 3 questions. First question is...
Sorry, we don't have time for 3 questions.
Yeah, no,
I'm
very
sorry.
quickly.
Okay.
What inspires you to go on as a chef? Then what challenges did you face as a younger chef, growing up to be a master chef? And as a master chef, is it important to identify a niche, or do you get interested in emerging trends, like things with gastronomies, sous vide, and things like that? Thank you.
So what inspired me in the beginning was just my love. I just saw a commercial on TV about culinary arts, and I said to myself, that's what I wanted to do. And for me, I just wanted to do something great in my life. I wanted to prove people in my life wrong who voted me less likely to succeed as a little kid. So I wanted to do great things right at the gate. Second of all, some of the obstacles that you face is not having access to people who are willing to give you the knowledge that you need. So you can't use that as an excuse. You kind of go the long route. You got to study yourself. You got to be a true student. You got to work on your skills. You got to go a little bit longer in the kitchen than the normal person in order for you to catch up to where everyone else is. And then far as, what was the last part of the question? Identifying a niche. I'm classically based because I like to just keep with the science of cooking. But I'm all about keeping up with trends as well, because I think trends is important because that pushes the industry forward. And trends is a representation or a temperature of what the people want. You know, when you come up with new dishes and people are standing in line for it, that's the beginning of a trend. So as a chef, you got to embrace what the people want and give people what they desire as far as food. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great answer. Should we take one more question before we go to the dish, or you want to start plating?
We can take one more question. Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure. So we can go with the guy at the back here who's been asking for a while. Sorry, everyone. Okay.
All right, thank you. Hi, my name is Korede. So my question really will be, I know that in America, especially in the southern states, there are various influences on them. The French in New Orleans, Little Italy in some other states. And so I noticed that during cooking, you use some of, let's say, indigenous foods, local dishes. And I just wanted to know, what would be your own style? Is it heavily influenced by outer cultures? Is it heavily influenced by African culture and African cuisine? Or is it just your own specially blend or palettes, rather? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Growing up in the South, yes, it's a blend of everything. Southern cuisine is all the different cultures and things that really made the South what it is. I was inspired by that because that's what I was brought up on. But as a chef, when I became a professional, the only track that I could have taken in order to be a certified master chef was to learn more of the European style of cooking, the French, the Italian, the Northern, European styles. And so really embracing myself in classical cooking allowed me to be who I am today. But once I became a master chef, I really felt like I was empty. I really felt like that's really not representing who I am. I'm a black man. And so black man is from Africa. And so I wanted to study more about the African diaspora, the influence that you all have on our culture, the influences that we want to have here as well, and that exchange. And so I'm really exploring the culture in the continent of Africa a lot more, just so I can be a more well-rounded chef.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. So while you've been here as well, are there any particular, I guess, ingredients or meals or dishes that you've tried or that you've heard of?
I probably ate my weight in puff puff.
Puff puff. Okay, that's nice. That's nice.
So as you can see, This is a little rushed only because of the presentation time.
Yep.
But if you let
It
this
looks
simmer
amazing.
nice and long, you can see how all those flavors really, really work well together.
Yep.
Okay? And then now what you can do is if you want to garnish it with like some, for me, like some little radishes on top.
Yep.
If you want to add some more peppers on here, you can. If you want to do a little splash of like Tabasco on here, you can.
Yep.
And then some people like a little acidity. You have a little lime there. So you can just kind of continue to add and make it customizable to who you are. We also added in our own house-made noodles, which we made today. It's a combination of flour, salt, a little egg in there. And in the South, we use chicken and dumplings. So you don't cook it in a separate pot of water. You cook it into the broth itself so that it thickens up the broth and the broth penetrates the noodle and you get a deep, rich flavor profile.
That sounds awesome. That sounds amazing. Okay, so I guess we should get to tasting.
Oh, absolutely.
Perhaps.
Let's do it.
I just realized I haven't actually tasted anything, so maybe I'll just taste. But we can have one more person come up and join me to taste. I don't like this part. I don't like choosing. Okay, let's have this gentleman here. Sorry, guys. Okay.
How are you? You can add anything that you want in there. And some more spices, Tabasco.
Give us a moment.
Get him a spoon. Get a spoon and a fork, please.
It's not the same, is it?
Yeah,
It is the same, yeah. Okay, so time is actually up, so we'll continue this after the class.
All right,
so any last words for everybody who is here today?
I just want to say this has just been an awesome journey for me. This is like a trip of a lifetime. Me and my wife, we're so thrilled to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much. We love you, Nigeria.
Yeah.
We love the hospitality. And please invite me back. I would love to do this again.
Yeah,
so
we definitely
thank you all very
will.
much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for taking us through the various dishes. How did you feel you were received by the audience?
I feel the audience welcomed me like a son coming back home again. You know, I
Which
feel
is
like
what it
I'm
is,
back
yeah.
with friends and family.
Yeah.
It was very engaging. I love the fact that they asked questions.
Yeah.
And I saw that there's a common thread between what I cook and what they cook.
Yes.
So we all kind of connected on it, and it was good dialogue going back and forth.
Absolutely. I think it really helped that you infused local ingredients as well, like the okra, the spices as well. That was really great.
Oh, absolutely. That's the essentialness of cooking, is that when you can use things that are indigenous to really impact the flavor profile and the end result,
Yeah.
that's the true essence of cooking.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And so this is your first time in Lagos, right?
It is. First time in Africa.
First time in Africa. So what are your thoughts about being home?
It's an emotional thing. I'm happy on one end, I'm crying on the other side because, you know, as kids, you know, only thing we knew about Africa is what we read on, you know, news and books, but to be here and to feel the essence and the culture of the people and the love, I just want to stay here a little bit longer and explore a little bit more.
We would love for you to stay here a
Thank you
bit
very
longer
much.
as well. And then in terms, have you had time to go around the different stores and to check out the food fair as well?
I saved it for today. So once
Okay,
I'm done, I'm
okay.
going to hit up all the booths and see
Yeah.
all the great stuff they have out there.
Good. Well, I would recommend, if you can, taste some suya. Have you heard of suya?
I did hear of it,
Okay,
yes.
suya is what you need to try.
I'm going to try
You
that.
won't be
Thank you.
disappointed
I
if you
appreciate
get it from the right place,
I'm gonna
which
make
I'm
sure
sure
I
you
get
will. But yeah, it's been awesome having you here. I really feel like your masterclass is one of the best that I've seen.
I appreciate it.
The dishes, the one that I tasted was the final one. The beef. What was
Yes.
the name of that one? We
So
didn't
that
actually
was
get
just
that.
like my corn, it's like a beef noodle bowl
Okay.
with the corn noodles inside.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it was scrumptious.
I love it.
loved it.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for coming. Any final words? For
No, I just
anyone?
want to thank GT Co. Bank and everyone here part of the Food and Drink Festival for hosting me, and I can't wait to come back again in the near future.
Can't wait to have you back. Thank you very
so
much.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.